coming to town, things could get nasty tomorrow. So, what to do? Well, get the heck out of Dodge or South Florida. And let's play two. The Reds are game. The Marlins are in. Get that field ready. Places, everyone. It's twice the baseball goodness. Well, I don't see any rain clouds. I don't see any sign of Irene. But she'll be by tomorrow. So, doubleheader today. It's twice the baseball goodness. Everybody's in their place. The field is ready. The Reds are here. The Marlins are here. She's here. So we're all in. So is Billy. Let's do it. Let's play two, shall we? Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hunt. It's doubleheader baseball. Just like the old days, Tommy, the old-fashioned. Remember, you used to show up on a Sunday and see two?
Absolutely.
And so the Marlins and the Reds going to play two.
Yeah, it's one of those days we haven't seen too many. The Marlins have played one doubleheader, not so successfully. It was in Philadelphia, and they lost both games. But two games today, not a cloud in the sky. Remember, there was an old song, Good Night, Irene. Maybe it's Goodbye, Irene.
Well, good night last night. The Marlins tried to erase the memory of a blown save last night, and they'll do it today, at least try to, with a new name. Well, not a new name, but an old name. He's back. Logan Morrison is back, and his teammates happy to see him.
Yeah, Logan Morrison back in the lineup. He's hitting in the number 3 spot. I think that's important for Mike Stanton. He didn't swing the bat all that well in AAA. He was 4 for 21, but Lomo brings his 17 home runs, his 21 doubles, and the last time he was in a Major League game was back on August 13th. Now, I know Lomo's ready to go. He tweeted me earlier today. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't really tweet me, but he's ready to go. I know he's happy to be here.
No more. All right, let's talk about the pitching matchups in this one. For game one, you've got Javi Vasquez, Homer Bailey. It's our Coventry Healthcare of Florida starters. Pray tell on Homer Bailey.
Homer Bailey's 4-1 since the All-Star break. ERA is close to 5, though, but he's got one of those easy deliveries. The scouting report says it's like he's playing catch, and the ball kind of explodes out of his hand. Javi Vasquez, long career. He's 5-3 against the Reds, and had a nice outing his last time out. Just hasn't gotten a whole lot of support lately, and he's trying to get the 30 wins or 30 starts as he has done for a long time. Second game, Bronson Arroyo, the veteran born in Key West. Chris Folstad trying to rebound from San Diego. How about that for matchups today?
How about that? Tommy Hutton out of the gate strong for a doubleheader. When we get back, Logan Morrison. We'll hear from him as the Fish and the Reds get set to do Ernie Banks proud. doubleheader baseball. Storm coming tomorrow, 2 games today, off to Philadelphia tonight. So that's the itinerary, and at the top of it is Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine.
Thank you, Rich. Jeff Conine had a chance to go down to AAA to visit with the Marlins, and when you were down there, you also got a chance to talk with Logan Morrison. How was he doing when he was down there, and his thoughts on coming back? What do you think?
You know, he was very upbeat down there. He worked hard. We had early work with him every single day in 115-degree heat, so he got his work in. I think we talked a lot about approach, especially during the game and at bats, approach in the outfield. And he came down and worked out really hard, and that's why he's back here right now.
All right, here's Lomo's thoughts on coming back here today.
I was in the clubhouse when yesterday when Nordy, the manager, came in and said, "Pack your bags, you're going back to Miami." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Didn't really care at that point. I just knew I was getting sent down, so go down there and work on things, come back up, and ready to play. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I should be. I'm not a 249 hitter or a 240 hitter, a 250 hitter. I see myself as more of a 300 hitter, but you know, it's part of the game. You struggle, you have ups, you have downs, and you have good seasons, you have bad seasons. You know, just take these next 5 weeks, work to get better, and hopefully get the average up a little bit. If not, just grind out at bats and grind out games. I can't control it. I can't control if they're going to give me a reason or not. So I'm just here to play baseball and, you know, get the jersey dirty and help the team win games. That's all I can do. I think the relationship is I'm a baseball player and they're the organization that provides the jersey, so I'm just going to go out there and play hard for my teammates and for my organization, and that's the relationship that I have with them.
All right, 909 will be back between games 1 and 2 of the doubleheader. Of course, a complete post game as well following game 2. But for now, we'll get you set for game 1 as Logan Morrison makes his return. The Marlins can use the infusion of his energy and his bat. Try to get a win here, maybe even 2 against the Reds. Game 1 of the doubleheader coming up in a moment.
Moving forward and by AT&T. Hi, folks. How are you? Glad you're with us. Game 1 of a doubleheader. If you are in the area, you want to come out and see a couple games, Dusty Baker will greet you. And you can see the Reds and the Fish. Baker assumes his spot where he always is, top of the step of the dugout for the Cincinnati Reds, and he's ready to watch his ball club go after Javi Vasquez and the Florida Marlins. The Reds have been hot. Cincinnati has won 3 of their last 4, 8 of their last 12. The Marlins have not been. The Fish have dropped 6 in a row, 16 of 18. You heard Greg Gibson say play. And so Javi Vasquez says, all right, here's a fastball for strike 1.
Yeah, you look at the numbers for Javi Vasquez. Last time out, just a tough loss, 3-1 loss in San Diego. Pitched well enough to win in his 6 good innings.
Brandon Phillips swings and misses. Phillips getting the start at second base for the Reds. Phillips last night had a couple of hits, including a single in the ill-fated 9th inning for the Marlins. That, of course, the tipping point. The Marlins with a 2-run lead going into the 9th, down by 2 going out of the 9th. Phillips fouls it back. As a result, don't expect to see Leo Nunez closing either of these ball games. Number 1, because of his workload, and number 2, because of his struggles.
Yeah, I think we could look for Edward Mujica, possibly Steve Cishek in that role.
Javi's out in front, 0-2. And he strikes out Phillips. It's who he is, it's what he does, and that's strikeout hitters. Vasquez, the active leader in the big leagues in that. Warren Henry says, here's the lineup for the first game. You saw Phillips. Dave Chappelle had a starring role last night for the Reds. Joey Votto got the night off. Well, he did come in late in the ball game. Jay Bruce in right, Ramon Hernandez catching, Drew Stubbs in center. Todd Frazier gets a start at third base. Edgar Renteria's back in the lineup. He hits 8th, and Homer Bailey 9th. And here is Chappelle, the rookie last night, had 3 hits, including a double in the 9th inning, and that was the big pitch of the night for Leo Nunez and for the Reds. It was a changeup. Chappelle drove it to the wall and left, and the Reds chased across 2 runs as a result.
Well, he's a guy, too, that's played just 15 games since being called up from AAA. Hitting over 300 in AAA.
Ball's up in the sun. Look at Cameron battle it with the glasses, with the cap, with the angle, and the glove. And he'll play a prominent role in the defense.
Now we'll check out the defense, brought to you by Warren Henry. Bright sunshine for this 4 o'clock start with Morrison, Cameron, and Stanton. Dobbs and Bonifacio, Infante, and Jose Lopez with the start in Game 1. We will see Gabby at first base in Game 2, and John Buck behind the plate. So this is normally the time the players are out getting ready to stretch and getting ready for batting practice. This 4 o'clock start. And there was a time, Rich, that the Marlins, a number of years ago, played 4 o'clock games on Sunday.
Of course, traditionally, the 4 o'clock games on Sunday were rain delayed, so they ended up being 7 o'clock games. But the trick here is that with Irene passing by to the east and bringing rain tomorrow, today is a very dry day around South Florida. The kind of the calm before the storm. The wet stuff should arrive tomorrow.
And it is amazing. You made reference to it. The storm actually headed up the coast, the northeast, and we'll probably see rain in Philadelphia and New York.
Votto takes on the outside corner. Joey Votto knows his strike zone. He is one of the best in baseball at that. Votto, 93 walks, 96 strikeouts, and Joey had a pretty good idea that that was outside. He didn't bark too much about it. Here's the 2-2. Votto fouls it back. How about the weather? All your cooling is with us. Oh, the Marlins right now, that's a good sign, Tommy. You know the Fish are 11-1 with the Gator during all year cooling weather. 89 degrees, 60% humidity. There's the bearings for Irene on the all year cooling weather. 2-2 pitch. Votto fouls it back. You know, another big at bat last night, if you want to reconstruct that 9th inning, was Votto's pinch hitting appearance, and Leo Nunez walked him.
And that was with a 2-run lead at the time. And
1 out in the inning. Votto rips it into right field. Man, he's such a good hitter.
Well, you mentioned the tremendous eye at the plate. 93 walks, his on-base percentage over 430. So many times he gets himself in that great position to hit a strike, to get a good pitch to hit.
Now Jay Bruce. Bruce's contribution last night was a 2-run homer in the 7th, the last pitch that Ricky Nolasco threw to get the Reds within a run. Nolasco, who gave up some early runs in the ball game, hung tough and turned in 6 2/3 innings, punched out 8, and of course it was his game to win until the Reds rallied for 4 in the 9th.
That base hit, by the way, Rich, for Votto extends his hitting streak now to 9 games.
You hear Greg Gibson say Manny, and that's Manny Gonzalez, a fill-in umpire who was working third base in this crew. Meziga giving fashion tips, but in a doubleheader, especially one like this, the home plate umpire in the second game is not out on the field. Whoever gets home plate will get the first game off, and you would expect Greg Gibson, who's working home plate in this one, to get the second game off. So Manny Gonzalez will be at third base and probably at second.
Yeah, and I think the way things set up, because we saw him on the field last night, the man behind the plate in the second game would probably be Angel Hernandez.
1-2. Change up from Vasquez. The Reds are a team, especially with Votto in that 3 spot, that can chew up your pitch count pretty good. Votto's at first. We're underway. It's a doubleheader. Jose Lopez getting the start at first base in game 1. And Vasquez strikes out Jay Bruce. 2 more strikeouts, and he is now just 2 shy of Don Drysdale for 30th all time.
De Florida.
All right, you ready for some lineups? Pencils ready. Here we go. The Fish, who have dropped 6 in a row. Warren Henry rolls out. Emilio Bonifacio at short. Omar Infante up in his 2 spot. Lomo's back. Logan Morrison in left. Mike Stanton slides to the 4 spot. You got Greg Dobbs, Jose Lopez, Mike Cameron. John Buck will catch the first game. And Javi Vasquez hits 9th. Emilio Bonifacio meet Homer Bailey. Bailey misses down low. 25-year-old out of LaGrange, Texas.
Well, we told you he has one of those windups, real easy. The ball really comes out of his hand and sometimes can get on you quickly.
Shoulder issues have been his biggest issue, end of last year and the beginning of this year. It's limited him to just 15 starts. The 1-1. He's pitched well lately. for a Reds rotation that has had to weather the storm of some injuries and some ineffectiveness. Not nearly the performance that they had last year from their rotation when they won 91 games and won the Central. 2-2. Nice to see Bonifacio bounce back last night.
That was a good night. 2 for 3, hit that home run, had 3 RBIs.
Especially after the struggles he had in the 4-game series in San Diego. And it just shows you how much better the Marlins offense is when he is on base. It's a one hopper to Todd Frazier. Whistles it across to Votto.
Yeah,
Here comes the defense.
If you're an infielder, you have to whistle it across quickly with Bonifacio running. Sapelt, Stubbs, and Bruce in the outfield. Warren Henry will bring you the infield as well. Todd Frazier, Renteria, Brandon Phillips, a Gold Glover, Joey Votto, solid at first base, and Ramon Hernandez, the veteran backstop.
One of these days, Warren Henry is going to be in the starting lineup or be out there in the defense.
Be like the Rover.
Yeah, just slide him in there. Warren, you're in there today. Omar Infante with Logan Morrison to follow. Infante 1 for 5 last night. You can see there is some rust with Infante. Coming back in the middle of the San Diego series after 2 weeks on the disabled list.
Yeah, and the tough part is we've talked about he was so hot when he got hurt, had to go on the disabled list. He's 2 for 13 since coming back. But yeah, you can see a little of that timing just a little off.
Good breaking ball by Bailey. Homer Bailey, the USA Today National Player of the Year. Back in 2004, the Reds read the clippings, drafted him 7th overall.
Into the scouting report brought to you by Coventry Healthcare. Easy delivery. Nice curve. We just saw that curve to Infante, but at times can struggle with the command.
Breaking ball hit well to left field. Back goes Sapelt, looks up, bangs off the wall, and Infante cruises in with his 16th double. Good to see Omar Infante with a nice swing. He was on that breaking ball. He saw it for the second time in the AV.
Yeah, I think that's important, the fact that he saw it before. Actually, the one before was much better. This one flattened out, and it's our checkers double of the game. So good swing. And we just talked about maybe Omar Infante trying to get that timing back. Well, good swing there. That's a good sign.
The return of Logan Morrison as he climbs in. There's a look at Infante. Morrison takes a fastball up and in. Now, although Morrison's batting average wasn't nearly what many thought it should be, and even Morrison said that before the ball game, the fact that he had driven in 60 runs and was productive in that fashion is a real positive sign. I mean, you go back to last year, Tommy. Morrison, in a smaller sample size, 62 games, 244 at bats. He had 283. His on-base percentage was .390, but he drove in only 18 runs.
And the home run total?
Just 2. 1-1. Morrison hits it well. Votto spins. Bailey is there. Infante ends up at third, and so here comes Mike Stanton. So there's 2 outs. Stanton is up. As a comparison this year, just to finish that thought on Morrison, instead of 244 at-bats last year with just 18 RBIs, this year 362 at-bats, 60 RBIs. He had almost the same number of doubles last year. He had 20 doubles, and this year he has 21 doubles.
I think if you project Logan Morrison, you see a guy who's going to hit between 280 and 300, and I think he feels that. You see a guy who's going to hit you 15 to 25 home runs.
Mike Stanton walked 3 times last night. He was 0 for 2. His on-base percentage has swelled to .351. We touched on it last night. A lot of the scouts who have followed the Marlins the last couple of weeks have been raving about all of a sudden a much better plate discipline, much more direct line to the ball with his swings.
I'll tell you another guy, Rich, who was raving about it when we were in San Diego was Tony Gwynn. And a few conversations I had with Tony talking about how he's really liked watching Mike Stanton from afar. And without the solicitation, he made reference to that, how he's been more patient at the plate.
Stanton swings and misses, and it counts 2-2. Bailey last time out had a lead, and his bullpen blew a save. He went 5 innings, 3 runs in Pittsburgh. Beat the Padres his start previous to that. 2-2 fastball, and it's in the air to left. Sapelt comes in. Out there is Renteria, and it's Renteria who makes the catch. I don't think Sapelt saw that ball, and Bailey is fortunate that Renteria did. Scoreless. Obviously a 4 o'clock start for this doubleheader, not scheduled. Tomorrow night's game pushed up to this doubleheader. Javi Vasquez, with a couple of strikeouts, has drawn within 1 of Don Drysdale now. Christy Mathewson is next on the list, but Double D is within his sights. So Vasquez with his next strikeout will tie Drysdale. The interesting thing is that Vasquez has done it in a lot fewer innings than Drysdale. Drysdale took 3,432 innings, and Javi 2,789 innings now. That's a pretty tall cotton, nice company.
Yeah, it's an interesting number because you think of the two. Drysdale, a Hall of Famer, won, we looked last night, won 209 games. And always will be associated as the 1-2 punch of that Koufax-Drysdale combination.
Those guys were inseparable. There's a bouncer out to short. Bonifacio has it. Fires to first in time. So there's an out in the second. Hey, Tommy.
Yeah, Rich.
Have you visited the new Marlins Ballpark sales headquarters in Miami? Actually, you have, because I was there with you. The luxurious new facility provides fans the opportunity to explore an actual ballpark's suite and see all the new amenities and experience a 3D view from any seat in the ballpark. 1-877-411-2012. Make an appointment. Go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Or simply stay with us, because in Game 2, it's our super duper spectacular new ballpark show with Frank Fort.
So Frank probably, as we speak right now, is getting set up.
Frank will be filing reports from the ballpark, in the ballpark, around the ballpark, and we'll get the latest view inside that ballpark and outside the ballpark. It'd be kind of cool to see, too, because it's a chance to see what it will look like, say, at game time, 7 o'clock, or as you get later into the night, maybe get a peek at that downtown skyline?
Well, and also we're going to have a list of guests that'll be coming on during the second game. So we have all those questions that you saved from last night.
Oh, yeah.
Did you bring them?
Yeah. Yeah, I got them. Let me rifle through my scoreboard. Here's a 1-2 pitch. It was out. Larry Beinfest will be headlining. David Sampson, Claude Delorme. Claude, of course, the new ballpark expert. David can answer a lot of questions from last night. Name of the ballpark, name on jerseys, Wi-Fi in the ballpark. Swing and a miss. There you go. There's Michael Hill, Larry Beinfest. And Javi Vasquez is now tied with Don Drysdale with that strikeout. Here is Todd Frazier. And Frazier getting his first start in this series. And this is a very cool time of year for Todd Frazier. It's a ground ball. That's fair. And down the line it goes. Frazier around first. They're going to send him to second. Morrison up with it. And a strong throw. Frazier in with the double. Todd Frazier was a star of the 1998 Little League World Series for Toms River, New Jersey. He was, he was a stud, Tommy. In the championship game against Japan, which Toms River won 12-9, he went 4 for 4. He led off the game with a homer. Then he came in after playing shortstop the whole game and closed it out. He pitched the last 2 innings.
Yeah, that's a great story. Toms River, that's the home of Al Leiter.
So a double for Frazier. And here's Renteria. He takes a strike. Didn't see him last night. The former Marlin World Series hero from '97. Had some groin issues. Has kept him out of the lineup. You would expect Paul Janisch to play the second game, as both managers will mix and match for this doubleheader.
I would imagine Dusty Baker got the veteran Edgar Renteria in there. A lot of matchups Edgar's had against Javi Vasquez. 33 at bats against Vasquez. 13 for 33.
Javi's got him 0-2 here.
Interesting spot for Edgar to bat in. Such a good number 2 hitter in his career. He's smart, though. He'll probably go out of the strike zone a little because he knows he's not going to see a whole lot now with the count 0-2.
Vasquez throws it way outside. I had that conversation with John Buck in San Diego because Buck has been in the 8 spot. And Buck realizes, and I'm sure Renteria realizes, that one of the reasons they are hitting 8 is neither manager wants to put a kid or a young player in that spot. Because hitting 8th in the National League is a real unique animal. Got him with a good breaking ball. Goodbye, Don Drysdale. Look out, Christy Mathewson. As Javi Vasquez has struck out 4 in this ballgame. Follow the red arrow. Click on Game Connect, Marlins, Reds. Scroll, 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 scroll. You can ask. We're not doing Ask the Broadcast, but you can go to Game Talk. Every now and then we check it out, but normally, usually on Tuesdays is when we do it. Hey, that looks like Jason Jackson.
Yeah, big Reds fan. Here's the cachet on JJ, though, what happened last night. He was here last night. And I will say, though, he had kids with him. And they had to get back for school. But he left before the game ended. So when he left, the Marlins had the lead.
Good guy and a big Reds fan. Good baseball fan. Greg Dobbs takes away from Homer Bailey. It's 1-1. Dobbs, Jose Lopez, Mike Cameron will take their swings against Bailey in a scoreless opener for what is a plethora of baseball on Fox Sports Florida. That one up the middle. Over for it is Phillips, and he throws out Dobbs. Don't know if that clipped something on the mound or if Bailey got a piece of it, but it sure slowed up once it got past the mound.
Yeah, I think it might have just kicked off the dirt portion of the mound. That always slows it up a little bit, and then usually gets to the second baseman for a nice hop.
That's why they invented instant replay, Tommy.
Yep, right off the mound. And the Gold Glover. And I would imagine with just 4 errors that he'll win it again this year. He's going to get a lot of competition, and he has, from Omar Infante.
Well, the thing about Phillips is that he certainly has the reputation, and Gold Gloves oftentimes are awarded on reputation rather than, the defensive metrics.
But he's backed it up this year.
He has. Our Baseball America best tools, the best defensive second baseman, Brandon Phillips first.
They're in the house.
Neil Walker and Omar Infante tied for seconds. Infante just hasn't had a lot of national exposure, or as much national exposure as Brandon Phillips has had. And, the other thing about Omar is he hasn't been a second baseman in that he's been able to play every day at that spot.
And he's, as we've talked about all year, he's not the real flashy type. He knows how to position himself, makes it look pretty easy. And it's also hard to knock off a reigning Gold Glover when he's having a good year. I think if you've won a Gold Glove, in order not to win it the next year, you really have to drop off a lot.
It has to be an error fest type season.
And certainly Brandon Phillips deserving.
But good to see Infante's name in the conversation. Here's the 2-2. There's Bailey's breaking ball. Full count. Fastball, Lopez in the air to right center. Bruce is on and he makes the catch. A lot of speed out there with both Bruce and Stubbs. And Sapelton left for that matter. Here comes Cameron. Headlines around baseball focusing on September 1st when postseason rosters are somewhat cemented. A lot of trade talk about Wandy Rodriguez going to the Colorado Rockies. Remember, Wandy's got a pretty substantial contract, but on the other hand, he's been pretty steady.
Here's the interesting part of that. The Astros are in Denver, and Wandy Rodriguez scheduled to pitch tonight against the Rockies.
There's a strike. Word is that the Giants, much like they did with Cody Ross last year, have claimed Heath Bell on waivers. And there's two areas of thought. Number one is that Brian Sabian's looking for someone with Brian Wilson being injured. Or number two, he's trying to block Arizona and Kevin Towers, Bell's old GM, from picking him up. So the Giants have, 48 hours for the Padres and the Giants to either work out a trade, Padres will pick up the phone and say, all right, if you want Heath Bell, what are you willing to give up? Or the Padres can pull him back. Because the Padres know that if Bell does leave as a free agent at the end of the year, they are going to get 2 first-round or 2 supplemental draft picks.
Well, the Padres continue to play well. They beat the Giants last night in San Francisco. Kyle Blanks hit a home run.
See, they're starting to look like the Padres from 2 years ago. They had that great second half, and that set up last year's very nice season.
And you're talking about Arizona. They snapped their losing streak, too. Got a great performance from Ian Kennedy. Kind of quietly has put together not a Cy Young year, but he's 16-4. Ian Kennedy.
Well, you know what? I mean, if he keeps doing it, you never know. The 3-2. Cameron reaches out and pulls it foul. It's just like the Gold Glove. Sometimes that award, the Cy Young Award, carries some reputation with it, and there's some guys pitching in Philadelphia that certainly will be highly thought of.
We'll see a couple of those guys over the weekend.
Yeah. Swing and a miss. Bailey strikes out Cameron. And the Marlins are done here in the second. To the third we go. It's the first of 2 tonight. Javi Vasquez, Homer Bailey. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority. The Florida Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Florida Marlins. Do you know that they have to read that in Spanish over Cookie and Raul do?
And Rich, you probably didn't notice, but while you're reading that, because you can't look at the monitor, those folks were mesmerized as you were reading that.
They have a legal background, Tommy, so they like those big words. I'd like to do that in Spanish. Bring that Spanish card over for game 2.
Let me go to my translator app, and we'll get that straightened out.
Homer Bailey's at the plate. Here's the 0-2. Yeah, look up disseminate in Spanish, will you? No swing. Marlin dugout is chirping right now at Todd Titchener. Jack McKeon still on him. Fastball, fly ball, pretty well hit. Stanton goes back, tracking, reaching, won't get it. It's off the wall. Bailey loping around first, ends up at second. Well, you play a pitcher in because you don't expect him to hit it deep. And Homer Bailey just got it over Mike Stanton's head.
Yeah, he got a fastball out over the plate, and you see where Mike was playing, and that's where you should play the pitcher. But a tough read, a tough ball for him to go after. For a moment, it looked like Mike might get to it, but it kind of curled over the other way over his shoulder.
Now, Jack McKeon is out and he and the first base umpire, Todd Titchener, are going at it. I don't know that. Did he throw Jack out? Because Jack is looking like.
Because I would think Jack's gone out there, and you can't do that, or you will be thrown out, to talk about that check swing the pitch before.
Well, let's look at the check swing, and then we'll figure out if Jack's been tossed.
Oh, we see that called 100% of the time, and especially with a pitcher up there. Jack has an argument, but I don't think you can go out and argue that.
I don't think you can. So let's see if Jack hands over the reins to Brandon Hyde, and he will. Looks like Jack's been tossed out. And there goes Jack. So McKeon's been tossed. Brandon Phillips bunts. Javi Vasquez goes to first. And the Reds sacrifice Bailey to third. Dave Sapelt comes up. So Brandon Hyde is running the club now here in game one. I suspect Jack will still have editorial license as this game goes. A lot of Major League managers do that. And so Sapelt stands in. Let's see what the Marlins do with their infield.
Well, I think you expect maybe a game like this to be low scoring. So even though it's early in the game, the infield is in.
And because the pitcher is at third, your middle infielders can play halfway because you don't expect Bailey to be running like the wind.
Yeah, with one down, I'd be curious to see if they have Bailey going on contact. This is where Javi needs to reach back for one of those strikeouts.
Well, he's 1-1 on Sapelt. Dave flied to center his first time up. 3 hits last night. The 2-run double, a big blow in the ninth. Lopez lines it up and makes the catch, and now things get a little tougher for Javi Vasquez because Joey Votto pulls in.
By the way, we're talking about Wandy Rodriguez. That's an afternoon start in Denver. Not a good day for Wandy. 4 1/3, 8 hits, 6 runs. Those guys, Tulo and Cargo, have taken him deep.
Playing third base for the Colorado Rockies, is it Kevin Kuzmanoff? Kuzmanoff just claimed by the Rockies. Votto is 4 for 6 in his career against Javi Vasquez, and that includes his base hit back in the first.
This is kind of like pick your poison. You have a couple of tough left-handed hitters. Votto, the more patient of the two. Bruce will go out of the strike zone a little bit more.
Votto, of course, the reigning MVP. Vasquez misses outside. Votto's on base percentage last year was .424. He's upped it to close to .440 this year. Pitch hit well to left field. Morrison looks up. That ball is gone. A blue cedar opposite field for Joey Votto. His 23rd of the season. And he is now 5 for 7 in his career against Javi Vasquez.
Well, he talked about that on-base percentage. That leads the league. And the last time that Vasquez pitched against the Reds in Cincinnati, he's just trying to backdoor breaking ball, and he hung it out there for Votto. He got hurt by a 3-run homer, and it was hit by Jeremy Hermida, who shortly after was sent back down to the minor leagues.
Jay Bruce also homered against him, and here is Bruce. And he fouls it back and out of play. So the Reds a 2-0 lead. Many people have written the Reds off. I mean, they are at 63 and 65, and Milwaukee has been streaking. The wild card seems out of reach with Atlanta's gaudy 78 and 52 record. However, Cincinnati is playing better. They've won 8 of their last 12 games, 3 of their last 4. But there seems to be no slowing down Milwaukee. 10-game lead in the Central over St. Louis. The Reds are 13.5 back. And the Reds are 14 behind the wild card leader, the Atlanta Braves. The Braves, all they've done is won 6 in a row.
And all they do is turn it over to Craig Kimbrell, who tied a rookie mark with his 40th save last night.
Bruce fouls it back.
Tied the mark set by Neftali Felice of the Rangers.
O'Flaherty, Venters, Kimbrell.
Pretty good combo. Kimbrell right now working on 31 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings.
Is that good?
That is real good.
2-2. Swing and a miss. So Vasquez does get that strikeout, but it comes a batter too late. Mr. Joey Votto, Mr. MVP, a 2-run homer. Oppo. 2-0 Reds.
It's been a problem for the Marlins all year long, and we'll show you statistically with 2 outs. They just have not been able to shut it down, get the big out, get out of the inning. They are now the worst in the baseball this year. Last 8 games coming in, look at that. Almost 60% of the runs they've allowed have come with 2 outs. And, of course, the home run you just saw was with 2 outs. After their start, when they were 30-20, they were middle of the pack. In this bad stretch here is John Buckets, that lazy fly ball to left field. Last 78 games when they've gone 27-51, that is up to 47% runs allowed with 2 outs. The league average, if you take out about the top 10, is around what you might expect, about 33-34%. It's just a number that, talking to Jack McKean, he said, very frustrating because you're this close to getting out of the inning, but it's a matter of, he says, of professionalism and sometimes being too cute. And he pointed to the hit last night by Sapelt when he got that a double on the changeup, where Jack said he should have went after him with the fastball and would have put him away. Didn't work out that way, and for the Marlins, very frustrating to be this close and not be able to finish it, getting that 3rd out.
Thanks, Craig. And Craig and Tommy, that's one of the things that Randy St. Clair preached to us on the road trip as the Marlins' losses kind of snowballed. The fact that pitchers had trouble pitching out of jams, and a lot of that was with 2 outs.
No, a lot of that is concentration, experience, making the right pitch. You talk about that pitch to Sapelt last night, the changeup, as opposed to the fastball. You don't know if you throw that good fastball, if Nunez throws a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, if he gets a hit or if he makes an out. But you know what? If he gets the hit on the fastball, so be it. It's not going to be second-guessed as much as throwing him a changeup.
Homer Bailey the beneficiary of Joey Votto's 2-run homer. By the way, my partner Tommy Hutton will be leaving for an inning. He'll be headed over to the Reds broadcast booth. So straighten your shirt.
I better get ready. That's next inning.
Chris Welch.
Thanks for the reminder.
Chris Welch, the Reds analyst, will be coming over. It's our annual swap of analysts.
Chris Welch, a classy left-handed pitcher.
He's been with the Reds telecast for a long time. One of the well-respected voices in the game. Bonifacio, a fly ball. Why, that's a 1-2-3 inning. All right. Say hi to Chris in the hallway, Tommy.
I'll be right over.
Votto with a 2-run homer, opposite field, up in the blue seats. As we told you, Tommy Hutton over in the Reds booth. Chris Welch joins us now. 19 years in the Reds television booth.
Well, you fool them a day at a time, Rich. You know how it goes in this business.
Yeah, well, you can't fool Joey Votto, apparently.
You know, that may not have been the best decision by Javier Vasquez even to pitch to him. We were talking about it in the at-bat. Once he got down to him, 2 balls and no strikes. Why would you go after Votto, the reigning MVP in the league, when you have on deck Jay Bruce, a batter that you struck out fairly easily the pitch before? But you know, pitchers, and I'm a former pitcher, sometimes they can outthink themselves.
Yeah, and Votto, so good with his plate discipline, a guy that can drive the ball opposite field. Location-wise, not that bad?
Well, in this at-bat, he really showed you a couple of pitches before the home run swing why he's so good, because he fouled off some pitches the other way, not in this at-bat, but in a previous at-bat, just to stay alive. And we watch Votto every day now for the last few years, and this is what he's been able to do that kind of separates him from other players that have a lot of talent. He keeps his at-bats alive until the pitcher finally makes a mistake or finally comes into his strength. And Joey Votto's got his eye on that left field wall before he has his eye on the right field wall. That's why he is such a tough out. He'll hit the ball the other way and with power.
Ramon Hernandez waves at a breaking ball from Vasquez. Vasquez, who has passed Don Drysdale on the all-time strikeout list.
It's really amazing what Vasquez has done in his career. You know, he broke into the majors with the Expos at age 21, and he has never led the league in strikeouts, but he is now the reigning active career strikeout leader in the major leagues. There's the all-time strikeouts, and he's on that list at number 30, but he's number 1 among current active players.
And what we found interesting was the fact that he passed Drysdale, and he's done it in about 600 fewer innings than Drysdale.
And you look at his stuff, and you say, well, that's good stuff, but it's not, 10 strikeout a game stuff. The way the ball comes out of his hand must just be very deceptive. Has a nice run on his fastball. Of course, he's got that classic curveball that he's had ever since the first day he pitched for the Expos back when he was 21 years old.
Drew Stubbs bounces to third. Dobbs throws him out. Now Todd Frazier. And Tommy and I were talking about this time of year for Todd Frazier is always a special time of year with the Little League World Series going on. And, of course, the great performance he had for Toms River, New Jersey, when he was 12 years old.
He was the hero of that team when they won it. And, of course, they beat Japan in the finals. And I think they managed something like 8 or 9 home runs in that ball game. And what Todd will tell you that he had 4 hits in that ball game, but he also gave up 4 or 5 home runs. Here's the final out.
And he closed. He pitched the last 2 innings.
Yeah. He's a great kid. I mean, he's one of these young men that does not take one day in the major leagues for granted. He's still playing the game like he did back in 1998 when he was playing for the Little League Toms River team.
Here's the 1-0 from Vasquez, and a swing and a miss.
And from Todd Frazier, from a personal standpoint, I mean, this is an opportunity that he didn't expect to get this year, to come up and play semi-regularly at third base. The Reds have a log jam of very good players, young players there, plus Scott Rowland, who's on the disabled list, who should be better and back by the end of the season, certainly by spring training. So, now's his chance to kind of shine in an audition that is probably a bigger sample than what he thought he would get.
1-2 to Todd Frazier. You've got Edgar Renteria on deck, and Vasquez chalks up another strikeout with a good fastball. 1-2-3, 4th. The Joey Votto home run standing up right now. 2-0 Reds. Help. Little doubleheader baseball. This is game 1. It's a 2-0 lead. Joey Votto's 2-run homer against Javi Vasquez, the difference. Rich Welch, Chris Welch from Fox Sports Ohio joins us now. Dontrelle Willis, such a key part of the Marlins' success here, the World Championship in 2003, a fan favorite as Infante leads it off. What has turned it around for Dontrelle Willis, because everyone here is just so happy to see his success this season?
Well, the Reds fans are too, and especially in that Reds clubhouse. He's the kind of guy, as you know, Rich, just exudes energy, and it's contagious when you're around Dontrelle Willis. He's a guy that is legitimately pulling for everybody else to do well. We knew we had something special with Dontrelle when he showed up a month early for spring training, worked out with Brian Price, the pitching coach, for the month before the Reds even showed up to camp in Goodyear, Arizona. And when he got there, he was throwing the ball 91, 92 miles an hour and throwing strikes. He still has a high leg kick. He doesn't have the head tilting backwards like he used to, that really used to throw his balance off. And he worked very hard on his delivery. But, I've interviewed him a lot and talked to him a lot about pitching, and Dontrelle knows a lot about the art of pitching. And what's made a difference for him, in my estimation, is that he believes in his fastball again. He no longer just kind of trying to fool guys with breaking balls and off-speed stuff. He's going right after guys, and the best games he has had, the games in which he struck out the most batters, he's used his fastball as his primary pitch, and that's what most good pitchers do.
Well, when I heard that he was neighbors with Brian Price, I know Brian from his days in Seattle. Price is one of the really good pitching coaches in the game. I had a pretty good feeling about this year for Dontrelle, and certainly the struggles in Detroit with the Giants organization. Morrison hits a high fly ball to right field. That's deep. That ball is gone. Welcome back, Logan Morrison. His 18th of the season, and he cuts the lead in half. Morrison with the Coast Guard salute for his late father. And he crosses the plate. It's now 2-1, and our Gunther drive of the game.
Well, pretty good looking swing right there. Really winds up on it ahead of time. Gets his shoulder closed, his foot down, and that's good plate coverage. You know, he looks, when he steps into the batter's box, from a pitcher's standpoint, he looks like a threat.
Well, he has been. He's really improved his power numbers. Stanton drives that in the gap. That's going to get in the alley, go to the wall. Mike still has that sore toe from San Diego, and he pulls in with a double. So the Marlins get a home run and get on the board, and Mike Stanton follows it up with his 23rd double against Homer Bailey. Here comes Greg Dobbs.
That's a pretty nice 1-2 punch. Young players right there. Of course, Stanton only 21 years old. Morrison a young guy as well. I mean, those are the kind of things that should get fans excited when you've got middle-of-the-order hitters that are right now producing at the major league level.
Well, and Stanton has just made progress by leaps and bounds this year. Morrison as well in terms of his production and his power numbers. And obviously the Marlins are playing without Hanley Ramirez, who's usually in the middle of those guys. There's a strike to Dobbs.
Well, if I'm a Marlins fan, I'm coming out early to batting practice, if for nothing else, to watch Mike Stanton hit a BP.
Well,
unbelievable.
I'll tell you what, everywhere we go on the road now, we get visiting broadcasters come in and say, did you see where Stanton hit the ball? In Colorado and in San Diego, he hit balls that were estimated at over 500 feet.
I mean, it's Mark McGwire-esque batting practice. I mean, people used to show up by the thousands before the game began just to see McGwire and how far he would hit it. And Stanton has got that same kind of power, same kind of swing.
In watching, and I had a chance to watch McGwire when he played. And I worked in the American League West when he was in Oakland. One of the differences is Stanton, during batting practice, will have a round of line drives to right, line drives to center, and then he'll cut loose. Whereas McGwire, it was a fireworks show from the first pitch. 1-2 is up. It's 2-2. Homer Bailey gave up a double to Omar Infante in the first. Settled down after that. But the Marlins have a run here on Logan Morrison's homer. A double by Stanton. Here's the 2-2. And Dobbs went out of the zone, and he strikes out. So a big strikeout for Homer Bailey. Rich Waltz along with Chris Welsh in for the fourth inning. It's an old-fashioned doubleheader here. It's not that day-night thing where you end up spending 3 hours waiting for the next game. You play one, 20 minutes later you play the next.
That's the way it ought to be. You know, it's not hard on the players. A lot of people want to say, oh, it's so tough on the players. Well, you know, I, for one, really think it's most difficult on our television production people. I know our guy, Christian Roberts, our producer, he gets very cranky after about 3 hours in the truck. I'm not sure about Mike Rubin, but I'm sure he's in that same category.
Well, John Solser is usually a calming influence. In fact, before Tommy went over, I asked John, hey, can Chris stay a little longer? And apparently I've bought you a half an inning. So I've persuaded them for another half inning.
All right.
And the Reds production truck has said, okay.
Well, they'd be more than willing to get rid of me probably the rest of the day.
Well, the funny thing is you can fiddle all you want with Hutt's iPad there. He's probably doing the same with your laptop.
I was thinking about changing the base language to Mandarin.
Here's the 0-2. And Lopez fouls it back to the screen. Actually, when I read the disclaimer, Hutt has an app on his iPad and phone that translates English to Spanish. It comes in handy down here in South Florida.
Sure.
So I asked him to translate disseminate, which is part of the disclaimer. Disseminar, apparently, is the verb.
I would say that might get dangerous.
Yes. Lopez drives it left center field, hits it well. Stubbs back, won't get it. It is gone! That ball jumped out of here in the triangle. Well, that is a big boy home run from Jose Lopez, who had a scorching road trip in San Diego and in Colorado, and he continues it here. A pinch hit last night and a 2-run homer here. Coors Light, cold hard blast.
I doubt that you see all that many home runs hit into that triangle like that. That is a long way away. In fact, most visiting players, when they come in here, say, just keep the ball away from that area and you'll be okay. But you mentioned Homer Bailey earlier, and like a lot of young pitchers, when he runs into problems, it's one inning that is his undoing. And here we are again. He gives up a home run, then a double, and then he lays one out over the plate for Lopez. And a kid with seemingly very good stuff lets that one inning sometimes jump up and grab him.
The Marlins have hit 2 out of the park. Logan Morrison, his 18th. Lopez, his 3rd. Cameron takes a strike.
Got a lot of connections between Cincinnati Reds and Florida Marlins.
Oh, you got Jack McKeon.
We had Mike Cameron a few years back, and you have to go a long way to find a better guy in baseball than Mike Cameron.
Amen. He was. I was in Seattle for his 4 years in Seattle. He had a great year with Jack McKeon, and Jack had some success in Cincinnati as well.
He did.
Here's the 2-2. And a swing and a miss. So you get another half inning.
All right.
Mike Cameron strikes out from 2-0 with 2 big swings. It's 3-2. Logan Morrison goes deep, and Jose Lopez follows. Brought to you by Just for Men Mustache and Beard. What a homecoming for the Coral Gables High School, University of Miami star. First pitch he saw, Yonder Alonso hit it out. He saw his family as he rounded second. Couldn't keep a straight face. Then he banged one into center field to drive in a run. And then he had, of course, a big blow in the comeback in the 9th inning. A liner into center. Just as Yonder Alonso gave the Reds the edge, you two can keep your edge with Just for Men Mustache and Beard. Rich Waltz along with Chris Welsh for another half inning. Tell us what you know about Yonder Alonso. Folks around here very pleased that he's in the big leagues, though a little conflicted with last night's performance. Happy to see a former UM guy do well, but it was at the Marlins' expense.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. You know, when the Reds drafted Yonder Alonso #1 in the first round for them anyway in 2008, what we heard from the scouting department was this young man is the closest to a major league hitter of anybody in the draft. Gordon Beckham was drafted by the White Sox the pick after Yonder Alonso, and he went right to the major leagues almost. Yonder has spent some time in the minors, but you could tell when he first came on the scene in spring training, he has real stage presence in the batter's box. He has got a real good idea of the strike zone. The question for Yonder is, where is he going to play? He's got Joey Votto, the reigning MVP in the National League, playing first base ahead of him. Votto's on a long-term deal, and they've tried him in left field. The results haven't been great defensively. Because he's not the speediest of guys. But they're working him out of third base a little bit now, too.
Really? The Marlins have got a similar situation with Logan Morrison left and Gabby Sanchez, another guy at first, because both are first basemen. Gabby played some third base in college, but he really probably can't play it at the big league level, and Morrison has been forced to go out and try to learn how to play left field.
It's kind of interesting because the shift, the way I see it, by Major League Baseball teams over the last couple of years especially, giving guys an edge because of their defense over their offense. 10 years ago was an offensive game. You wanted to put lots of numbers on the board. Now we've seen fewer and fewer runs scored. It seems like every year, this year, historically low numbers. So now you're putting good defensive guys in there and you're taking away from the offense. But when you have a guy like Gabby Sanchez or Yonder Alonso, there's some kind of a balance that you have to reach. What does he have to hit in order for him to play for us at a certain position? How well does Yonder have to hit before the Reds put him out in left field and say, all right, he's not as good defensively as somebody else out there, but by golly, we need some offense, and we're going to stick him in there for his bat.
The thing the Marlins do have, Gabby Sanchez has turned into a very good defensive first baseman, and Logan Morrison is a very good defensive first baseman, and Votto is terrific at first base as well.
Well, Votto's the MVP of the league, so you're not going to displace him unless you're so enamored by Yonder Alonso that you decide to go outside the box and trade Joey Votto. I don't see that happening yet. Certainly the Reds have been kind of making Joey Votto and Jay Bruce and Brandon Phillips the faces of the organization. Doubtful that Joey Votto's on the trading block.
Can Alonso play third base?
Well, he told us that he played in high school and he played the first couple of years at Miami before they asked him to move over to first base. And he actually will tell me that he feels more comfortable at third base than any other position on the field.
Vasquez fields the bunt from Homer Bailey after the leadoff walk to Edgar Renteria. Javi Vasquez doesn't give up many free passes, but he did to Renteria. And now he's going to have to get back into the top of the order with Brandon Phillips.
It's a good problem that the Reds have because we mentioned Todd Frazier being a third baseman. Juan Francisco is an up-and-comer down in the minor leagues. He was just named the International Player of the Week. He's a third baseman. Now you have Yonder Alonso working out of third base. And, of course, Scott Rowland, perennial all-star. This year he was an all-star with the Red, coming off a left shoulder surgery. He should be ready for next year. He's got 1 year left on his deal. So he's a third baseman. So the Reds have a logjam, obviously, at third.
And, of course, the Marlins are looking for an answer at third. They think Matt Dominguez, one of their top prospects, might be that answer, but that's probably going to be a question mark going into spring training. Now Phillips, and Brandon Phillips takes up and in. Phillips has struck out and dropped down a sacrifice bunt. We were talking about we have two of the very best defensive second basemen in the game, in Omar Infante and the reigning Gold Glover and Brandon Phillips. And Phillips, an exciting player to watch, an exciting player to follow on Twitter. He's even more Twitter savvy, it seems, than Logan Morrison.
Oh, I don't doubt that. I mean, Brandon has been doing that for a while. I've had the pleasure of spending several of the off seasons on the Reds caravan as we make it throughout Reds country, small town stops. And Brandon has been tweeting for a long time on that, and has thousands and thousands of followers on Dat Dude BP. And he'll let you know what's going on. Now, he may not be quite as outspoken or forthcoming as Logan Morrison, but remember that Brandon's been an all-star, he's been a Gold Glover, and maybe he's earned his place to say things that a veteran can and a young player can't.
Lines it into left center field, Morrison after it, and it's going to go to the wall, and that dude BP has just tied the game. So it's 3-3, and the Reds strike back, and the leadoff walk hurts Javi Vasquez.
Well, Brandon Phillips went into the office of Dusty Baker a week or so ago and said, you know, we're really struggling at the top of the order. Drew Stubbs is not getting on base. Dave Chappelle is not cutting it. How about putting me in the #1 spot? I'll do the best I can to get this team jump-started. And since then, he's gone off, really gotten very hot. Joey Votto has gotten very hot, and the Reds are finally put a couple of wins together. In fact, they won back-to-back road games with the win last night for the first time in more than 2 months.
Here's Sapelt, and he swings and fouls it back. It's 0-1 into the glove of John Buck. Chris Heisey, another young outfielder, right now injured.
On the disabled list, you know, when you get disabled as a young player, what you do is you open the door for somebody else to come up and have an audition. And that audition right now is being taken care of by the guy at the plate, Dave Sapelt. Heisey's a nice player. We're getting a better idea of Sapelt the more you see him play. But, you know, ideally, if you're a young player like Chris Heisey, you don't get hurt. And you keep Sapelt down in the minor leagues, and you say, you make a decision on what you see down in Louisville, not while I'm on the DL.
0-2 now. It's a big hitter for Vasquez with a runner at second and one out. He's got Votto, his personal tormentor, on deck. The 0-2. And it's fouled back and out of play. If you've just joined us, yeah, it's day baseball because this is a doubleheader. The Marlins and the Reds were scheduled to play tomorrow night with Irene off the coast. Supposed to bring a lot of rain. The Reds, the Marlins, and Major League Baseball decided to play a doubleheader, and both teams will get out of Dodge or South Florida tonight after the game.
Of course, where you guys are going, up to Philadelphia and then New York, the hurricane and the winds and the rain may just follow you right up the coast.
There's a slow tapper to Bonifacio, and he flips it over to first. Now, here's the AB that you talked about. Here comes Joey Votto again. Javi Vasquez. Oh, wait a minute. See out there. They deked us.
I'm susceptible to the curveball, too.
I know. We would be front-footed.
Joey Votto's the only one that you can't fool.
So, if that's the case, you talked about the fact that Bruce is on deck. Javi has handled him. Do you pitch around Votto here and go after Bruce?
I do. I mean, I always say that especially on a team like the Reds when there's only a couple of all-star hitters in the lineup. You know, Scott Rowland's not here right now. And when you've got Phillips and Votto as your two main guys, I pick one of those guys and say, this guy will not beat me today. And you had an opportunity to pitch around Votto. You went 2-0 to him and then tried to fool a little changeup back door to him. Maybe it was a slider that didn't break. But either way, why even let him handle the bat in that situation when you have a player behind him in Jay Bruce who's been struggling mightily, who you struck out easily the first time up. In fact, as it's turned out, Bruce has had 2 strikeouts in this ball game. So I know that pitchers want to get the best out that they can. You know, that they're challenged by a guy like Votto, but sometimes you really ought to be a little more realistic because Votto right now is seeing the ball very big.
You saw Votto's hit streak in 9 games, incredible numbers. And personally, he's 5 for 7 against Vasquez, including the single in the first and the 2-run homer in the third. You got Brandon Phillips 90 feet away at third. Let's see what he gets. 2-1. Outside corner. And it's 2-2. Of course, Vasquez put a breaking ball in the outside part, and Votto hit it into the left field seats.
Votto actually is a better breaking ball hitter than he is a fastball hitter. If you have enough gas on your fastball, you go after Votto with high hard ones. That's no trade secret. Every scout who's seen Votto play will tell you the same thing. He's an excellent off-speed hitter because he waits so long.
2-2. In the dirt, Buck saves a run. See, here's where it's tempting for a pitcher because now you've got 3-2, and you're thinking, you know, if I make the perfect pitch, I can strike him out and get out of the inning.
Yeah, but I think on the other hand is, and John Buck has a lot to do with this, is that you have to have a lot of confidence in your catcher. So if you're Javier Vasquez, if your best pitch to Joey Votto is, say, a sinker in the dirt or down low or a breaking ball, you bounce it down the plate. If he swings at it, great. Otherwise, you go get the next guy.
He's going to go get the next guy. And so Votto draws a walk, his 94th of the season. Are you finding after the MVP year that pitchers are treating him a little differently this year?
No doubt about that. There's not a lot of protection in the lineup for Joey Votto because the normal number 4 hitter, Scott Rowland, has missed a lot of time this year. And so it's Votto on his own out there. He's like he's on his own island. And he's realizing now that he's being pitched around to. He's only going to get 1 or 2 pitches per game to really put into play. And for that, he's had to learn to be patient.
23 homers, 82 driven in, an on-base percentage of almost .450. He's had quite a year. those may not be MVP numbers, especially with that pair up in Milwaukee. But still a terrific year. Now here's Bruce, and as Chris pointed out, Vasquez has been able to punch him out twice. He's 0-1 on him now.
Well, 24 years old. Watch his back shoulder up here for Jay Bruce, because he's a guy, when he starts tilting that elbow way up, he tilts his shoulders from back to front. And what it does is makes his swing so much longer, and it kind of sweeps through the bat. It's the same thing as a hitter when he begins his swing and he starts to bat hit to point the barrel of his bat to the pitcher. It creates a longer arc that you have to get to before you get to the hitting zone. But it's all about his elbow right here. The more that goes up, the more and slower he is with his swing.
0-2 in the dirt.
You know, they hit a long home run last night, but if you remember, it was a curveball that he hit.
It was.
And most of his home runs recently have come off that off-speed pitch, because he's got a nice level swing and he's got tons of power. He's as strong as anybody this side of Mike Stanton. But, you know, you can throw the fastball by him if you get it in a spot, because his elbow flies up.
Well, let's see what Vasquez gives him. 1-2. No swing. Looked like a changeup. And it's 2-2.
Yeah, we've got that advantage of the center field camera. We can peer into the glove of Javier Vasquez and kind of tell you ahead of time what's coming. But after back-to-back changeups, I'm almost guaranteeing a high heater here.
Reds have tied the game. They took a 2-0 lead on the Votto 2-run homer in the third. The Marlins got homers from Logan Morrison and Jose Lopez to take a 3-2 lead. But Brandon Phillips drove home Edgar Renteria, the only walk of the game for Javi Vasquez, who was struck out 7. There's Phillips now at third. Here's the 2-2. Got him. Tripled up on the changeup.
You got to have the guts to do it, and that's why he's the active strikeout leader out there. Rich, I really enjoyed visiting with you.
Chris, say hi to Hut when you see him in the hallway.
I will do.
All right. Chris
Take
Wells,
care,
Fox Sports Ohio. Bottom of the fifth, just in time for trivia. Let's flip the phone. Who had the most hits at Synergy Field? So that was Riverfront, right?
Riverfront Synergy, yeah.
Yeah, we call it. Let's call it Riverfront.
That's like the Murph.
Yeah. John Buck takes up and in. Most hits. Well, you got to think Pete Rose, right?
Yeah, Pete played a little bit at Crosley Field.
Oh, wait a minute. We got the whammy there.
You might want to wander in the direction of Dave Concepcion.
How about a Barry Larkin?
Yeah, that's a good guess.
It's demoralizing.
How about Tony Perez?
Ooh, no buzzer. Oh. Pitch Fist is downloaded, John Buck. Our crack staff trying to keep themselves amused here. in the first game of a doubleheader, which has been an entertaining game. How about the Marlins fourth? Logan Morrison hitting a bomb to right. And then Jose Lopez, a line drive homer out in the triangle.
Yeah, a laser out there. By the way, we didn't hear a yay or a nay on Dave Concepcion. By the way. Oh.
Very nice. Tommy Hutt. Here's a 3-1 pitch to Buck. And he smacks it hard and by Edgar Renteria. Man, that ball was crushed. Well, base hit for Buck, and Vasquez will probably be bunting him or attempting to bunt him up. You know, I told Chris Welsh that full season ticket plans in the new Marlins ballpark are available right now. The Diamond Club is already sold out. Several other premium areas are close to capacity. So secure your seats today. It's called the new Marlins Ballpark Sales Headquarters, 1-877-411-2012, or go to marlins.com/new ballpark.
And how did Chris respond to that?
Chris was enthusiastic about it. In fact, he said he's coming by just to watch some of Frank Fort's reporting from the new ballpark in Game 2 of the doubleheader. He heard that Francis will be down there.
And you told him the booth will be just fantastic.
Yes.
The new ballpark.
Much larger than the visiting booth here in this football stadium, which is cramped. And I'm always embarrassed to go over there, Tommy, and greet the other broadcasters because they essentially are in a broom closet with a window. Whereas here, we have a much larger booth. See, look at it. There they are.
Very cramped quarters over there.
Yes. So
I'm happy to be back, I might add.
Vasquez sets down the bunt. Nicely done. Buck moves to second. We'll get a look at the broadcast booth tonight when Frank Fort is in the new ballpark. He's going to show us a lot of stuff. He'll show us the pool area out in left field. He'll show us all the new seats. Frank is going to scout out his pregame location. It's important to Frank, maybe not to so many fans, but from that pregame location, you'll get a view of the rest of the park.
By the way, nicely done by Javi Vasquez. And here's a little extra trivia question. Do you know who leads the Marlins in sacrifice bunts?
On the year?
On the year.
Anibal Sanchez.
Ricky Nolasco with 10. And I think Anibal is right behind him with 9.
That's a tough one for Greg Gibson. Watch this. You know, umpires try the best to protect themselves behind a catcher, but there's only so much you can cover up.
Right on that elbow.
Ugh.
Just the little bit that was exposed, that foul ball found it.
It can be a thankless job. Sean Cunningham out to look at him. All right, let's flip the phone and do the trivia question and just put the icing on the cake for Tommy Hutt. Riverfront, who had the most hits? Is it because Davey Concepcion stuck around after the Big Red Machine was dismantled?
He was there a few more years, yeah. That possibly could be it. See, I could get our AT&T trivia answer.
What was the question?
Well, I don't remember now, but I couldn't get the answer.
Maybe it's
had to do with 4 managers who started before 1990. The 4 current managers who started managing. Of course, Jack would be one.
Davey Johnson.
Davey Johnson, good one.
Okay.
Jim Leland.
Jim Leland.
How about Dusty?
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Yeah, you got the buzzer on that one, pal. We've got 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
For 1990, Terry Collins had not started yet. We have Jack.
We have Jack. We have Jim Leland.
Davey Johnson.
Davey Johnson. And now we're stymied.
0-2 pitch. Bonifacio flips it foul down the third base line and out of play. National League Central, we're being told.
Oh, La Russa.
Tony La Russa. Yeah, there you go.
How could we forget Tony?
See, you just needed your buddy
I
over
did. See,
here.
I froze.
Your AT&T buddy
I
could have helped
froze
you.
when I didn't have your help. I felt like Ralph Cramden on Name That Tune. I froze.
You're really dating yourself now. John Buck at second. 0-2. Bonifacio takes in. You got Infante on deck. Marlins trying to get that run back that they gave up in the top of the fifth. Glad you're with us this afternoon. If you don't have plans this evening, we have another ball game for you. Stylish right-hander Bronson Arroyo against Chris Volstad. Would you call Bronson Arroyo a stylish right-hander?
Yeah, that was a good term. With the wind-up, the big extended leg kick that he has.
I usually reserve that for lefties, but he's sort of stylish, crafty.
You are right, though. Most of the time, that adjective is used to a lefty.
Ramon Hernandez out to talk to Homer Bailey. Pitch count, Bailey's at 75. Javi Vasquez at 85. Bailey's 1-2. Foul back. See, I'm waiting. I know that pitch count has crept into the game and has become a big number for everybody. But word count for announcers. You know, you get to the seventh inning, Tommy, you're at 1,200 words. Tap on the shoulder. It's the vocal coach. You're out of there, kid. 1-2 to Bonifacio.
Which really becomes important in a doubleheader.
Oh, we're going to blow way
First
past.
game of the doubleheader.
We're going to blow way past our word count in this one.
And then some would say, please, have a word count. Stop them.
John Buck at second. Bonifacio's battled in this 2-2 pitch. And he pops it out into shallow left. Sapelt wasn't very deep, and he comes in and makes the catch. So it's up to Omar Infante to keep this inning rolling. Is your group looking for an affordable outing? Save money, provide them with an unforgettable experience at a Marlins game. Call the group sales department at 305-626-SAVE or go to marlins.com/groups. One group that had a great time last night, Gino Torretta, Heisman Trophy winner, my former partner on ESPN, always has a huge charity golf event, and one of the prizes that Fox Sports Florida donated to that event was a night in the suites, and that group apparently crushed the shrimp cocktail last night. Sapelt makes the catch, and the Marlins leave John Buck in scoring position. some great road trip music. Oh, the world's most dangerous tape room has been at it, Tommy. Going to Philly, going to New York.
Yeah, they're just getting warmed up right now.
New York City. Hopefully Irene won't be there when we get there. But you never know. You never know where the cone of uncertainty may land. Especially once you get up there around Delaware and Philadelphia and New York. Here, no rain, doubleheader. Rain coming tomorrow. Marlins will be flying to Philadelphia. Javi Vasquez, 85 pitches into this one. Spins a curveball up there to Ramon Hernandez. He's got Drew Stubbs and Todd Frazier coming up in the 6th. 8 strikeouts for Javi. A couple of walks. Pitch misses outside. It's going to be an interesting weekend because the weather report is bad weather in Philly on Sunday, bad weather in New York on Monday. At least that's the forecast. Monday is a doubleheader, and we've already arranged, Tommy. I took the liberty to call ahead on Monday and order up some Shake Shack.
And we have had this year a lot of downtime in New York at Citi Field.
There you go.
Is that my order or your order?
That's Glenn Geffner's order. Geff is the Shake Shack aficionado.
Wouldn't you like that up the booth here between games of the doubleheader?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're asking. With a strawberry shake and some fries. I'm in there. Hernandez steps out. Many fans. That's another good question asked David Sampson. Remember? Fan wanted to know if Shake Shack was going in the new ballpark. Here's the 2-2. Vasquez, 9 strikeouts in this one.
Now, twice this year, Javi's reached 10 at Wrigley Field against the Cubs and against the Giants here. So the strikeouts, he's one away from his season high. And most strikeouts in a game in Javier Vasquez's career, he had 14 strikeouts in 03.
Drew Stubbs now has struck out twice. Vasquez keeps pumping in good pitches. That one right at the knees.
And isn't it ironic, the leadoff walk, his first walk of the game, was what came back to haunt him, and that's what scored back in that 5th inning.
Breaking ball in the air to center. Cameron is there. And if Javi has a quick inning here, you got a chance to bring him back out for the 7th. Talking to Jack McKeon, we both chatted with Jack about the closing situation. Jack told us that it would not be Leo Nunez. And he said, heck, let's hope that Javi gives us 8 or 9 innings and we won't need it. There's Frazier.
Talking about Todd Frazier, you were mentioning the story of his success and the great Little League World Series he had. Same can be said of Sean Burroughs. Remember we mentioned him, he had a big home run for Arizona last night.
Didn't he win it twice?
Twice, yeah.
And he's such a great story, the fact that he'd been out of baseball for 3 years. I mean, completely out. And Kevin Towers and he had a chat in the offseason, and Burroughs wanted to give it one more shot, and Towers gave it to him. Towers was the GM that drafted him in San Diego. Craig brought up a good point earlier in the game when he talked about Vasquez and his resurgence in the second half, which should propel him to another year in the big leagues next year. I mean, at the start of the season, if you watched a month and a half of Javi Vasquez, you'd have your questions about next year.
I think if you watched him the first month and a half, 2 months of the season, you may have said this could be it for Javier Vasquez. But I totally agree. Whether it's here or somewhere else, he's going to have a job in the big leagues next year.
Count is 2-2, especially if he keeps these same mechanics, which has his fastball back at 93. 2-2. I mean, he's been consistent at 93.
He's even hit 94 a couple of times today, too.
And remember, in the first month and a half, he barely hit 90.
Mm-hmm. The uniqueness of his strikeouts today, they're all swinging. All of his strikeouts today are swinging.
Like that one.
Just like that one.
10 strikeouts for Javi Vasquez. To the bottom of the 6th, 3-3. Your baseball pleasure this afternoon and tonight. Doubleheader here, Sun Life Stadium. Cast of thousands, including Jeff Conine, Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz with you, John Sulzer, our producer, Mike Rubin, our critically acclaimed director, Ken Lee, our generally lauded graphics coordinator.
And a guest appearance
by Chris Welch.
Yeah.
See that he would fall into that cast of thousands. And Logan Morrison is here. Did something fall off the umpire there? Here's a look at Lomo's swing. This was the big blow in the 4th inning.
Boy, he really crushed this ball. It's one of those balls that carried and carried. 18th home run of the year for Logan Morrison.
As that pitch was being delivered, Greg Gibson's sunglasses had fallen off. And
notice he has some tape around that arm where he got that foul tip, too.
Yep. Probably to keep the swelling down. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Here's a look. You never want to have your sunglasses fall off, Tommy. You don't want to step on them. No, you're going to ruin the warranty here. Don't step back. Don't step back. Don't step back. No.
Look, he's
no.
feeling.
No. 2-0. Oh, hammered by Morrison. It's on the ground, and Votto will step on the bag. Boy, Logan Morrison has hit the ball hard all 3 times up. That's twice now he's hit it hard to Votto, and the other one he put in the seats. It's good to see.
Good swings, good approach. Lomo's certainly glad to be back, and I think everybody's glad to have him back.
Now Mike Stanton, who has popped out and doubled. Bailey flips up a breaking ball for a strike. Stanton's double was a line drive over the head of the shortstop, and it ended up going all the way to the wall.
Yeah, speaking of shortstops, Edgar Renteria, who started the game, gives way to Paul Giannis. You have to wonder if Edgar maybe tweaked something scoring on that double. Remember, he walked and scored on Phillips's double.
So Giannis straight up. Bailey misses away, and it's 2-1. As we discussed with the Chris Welch, pitchers being careful with Votto, pitchers being careful with Stanton. Votto hasn't had a lot of protection behind him. Stanton hasn't had a whole lot of protection around him of late.
Really makes a hitter concentrate, makes a hitter just zone in, and when he gets that one pitch that's a good pitch to hit, he has to have a good swing.
Two. He tried to sneak the fastball by him. Will he show him another fastball? With one out, nobody aboard. Dusty Baker. By his side, a World Series hero. Billy Hatcher, who had a great World Series when the Reds beat the Athletics under Lou Piniella. Stanton fouls off. You know, Dusty Baker's career as a manager, it's his 4th year in Cincinnati. He has come so close. He was, of course, managing the Giants when they were a mere, 5-6 outs away from winning Game 6 against the Angels. Stanton's bouncer is up the middle. Giannis, just in the game, throws him out. Scott Spezio hit that big home run, and the Angels came storming back and won Game 7. And of course,
who was it? He had Russ Ortiz.
Yes,
in the game.
And I believe Ortiz, on his way off the mound, asked if he could hang on to the ball because he felt that would be the game-winning ball, and he would get the win. And of course, Dusty was at the helm of the Cubs in 2003, and Marlin fans know how that worked out. Cub fans as well.
Yeah, Dusty Baker 3rd on the active list for wins. Only Jim Leyland, Tony La Russa with more wins amongst active managers.
He got San Francisco to the postseason 3 times, 2 division titles and a wild card. Of course, the Reds won the division, won the Central last year. Dobbs pulls a grounder out to second. Phillips to his left throws him out. And Homer Bailey goes 1-2-3 through the fish in the 6th.
AFC.
You know the drill. Cookie and Raul appear magically after Raul tore down the number.
Yes.
How about that? Paul Giannis swings and misses.
Raul, congratulations. I mean, every time I look out there, you guys do the same. It's amazing. Now 13 left.
It's unreal. I can't believe it. Just 12 games left after this one, and after everything that's gone on to get to this point, it's just can't get here soon enough still.
And, of course, we invite our audience to our second game, which will be a ballpark special. Frank Fort with reports and great video from down inside the new ballpark site.
Do you guys know who these special guests are, by the way?
Yes, these special guests, David Sampson.
Nice.
Larry Beinfest.
There
and
we go.
Mr. New Ballpark himself, Claude Delorme. In fact, that's his new title. Breaking ball, swing and a miss.
That Mr. Marlin and Mr. New Ballpark.
Mr. New Ballpark. How about Mr. Strikeout and Javi Vasquez? Hey, Christy Mathewson isn't that far away, Cookie.
Hey, let me ask you a question. With the way he's throwing right now, 94 miles an hour, 93 miles an hour, curveball change of the way he's throwing strikes and all that, and he mentioned that he's going to retire. You got to be kidding me.
We just had this conversation last half inning. Not at this rate.
Oh, my God. You have to come back. There's no way that he can retire. I mean, he's doing a great job. The second half of the season, pitching very well. He never had any kind of offensive help. So I think that he will be an asset to the ball club as a fourth or fifth pitcher.
Up the middle, that's Homer Bailey knocking one into center field. How about Homer Bailey going 2 for 3 with a double? Actually 2 for 2, a double, a single, and a sacrifice bunt.
Cookie, you remember double headers. They used to play a little bit more, didn't you?
Well, absolutely. It used to be, remember, the Mondays were off and we played doubleheaders on Sunday. So, yes, I don't like him at all. I don't think you did either, you know. Oh, God.
What was the drill, guys, back then between games? Was it you go in, would you change uniforms, clean ones, get us something to eat, and head right back out?
Clean ones? You got to be kidding. You got to use the same one that you had the first day, and that was it. You know, you go in, have a hot dog, and come right back and play the game again.
Yeah, they didn't quite have the spreads like they have now.
No, they sure didn't. That's for sure.
Brandon Phillips fouls it off, and it's 0-1. What are you guys going to do between games?
Well, we're just going to sit here and hope the kid can get back here right away and start again the second game and enjoy it.
I definitely have to go get a coffee, that's for sure.
I'm with you, Raul. I may do that too.
I'll meet you then at the coffee machine.
Okay, you can buy this time.
Yeah,
it's on me.
Okay.
We got the chicken here, you guys.
The bucket. The bucket. Into right field. That's well hit. Stanton is back. And he reaches up and makes the catch. All right, guys, we'll see you in the second game.
All right,
you know, guys,
have a
take
good
care.
one.
I expect to see clean polo shirts, too.
El fly al right field, capturado por
Marlin fans, present your Miccosukee Ultimate Reward Players Club cards at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game. Get a $10 discount up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined, subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming. Get in the game. Dave Chappelle fouls it back. This is the guy to get if you're Javi Vasquez to finish off the 7th inning. Because on deck is Joey Votto, who's 2 for 2 with a 2-run homer.
That's why if you're a hitter, Chappelle's a young hitter, and if you're in this part of the lineup and you have those 2 lefties behind you, it's an ideal spot to hit. Because you're going to see some pretty good pitches.
Seeing right now may not be all that easy with the sunlight on the mound and shade over the plate. That's kind of a baseball tradition when you get into late September, postseason October day baseball, or even early starts on the West Coast. Our hitters battling through this.
Remember years ago during the World Series, you'd always see those old black and white shots in the World Series with the shadows. The light standards, you see the shadows projecting on the field.
Of course, back then, I mean, when was the first night World Series game played? Was that 71, 72? Right around that time?
That's a good question.
give our crack staff something to do unless they've already left to get lunch. 3-1. Sapelt pulls a ground ball. Dobbs has it go foul. Nice play by the ball boy.
And Sapelt knows right here he's going to get another fastball. 3-2. Bullpen getting ready. Ryan Webb, Mike Dunn.
Let's see what he gives him. 3-2. A fastball that's cranked to left field. Morrison back, reaches and makes the catch almost in the new ballpark. That's a big out for Javi Vasquez, who put 7 solid innings in the books.
Dontrelle Willis out here at the ballpark as he talked with us yesterday, and we got some reflections on him on just about every topic, including his days here with the Fish.
Well, obviously winning the title here, but this is a great teammates, the organization, just representing South Florida, and just having fun, and the fans embracing us from little pups in the minor leagues all the way to us in the majors. So. I have a lot of great memories here, but it's still a little weird being on the evil side of the diamond.
Dontrelle said it was a little crazy there, making the left turn and going to the visitor side, but he's happy to be back in the next game. We'll have his comments on playing here at this park, his thoughts on Sun Life Stadium, all coming up. He's pitched very well, actually, for the Reds. Doesn't have any wins. He's 0-3. Terrific Marlin, one of the most exciting Marlins, and certainly in franchise history, not only pitching but fielding and the way he handled the fans, and one of the all-time favorites. He probably is in the top, I would say 3 to 5 guys of the most popular Marlins ever, and it's good to see him. Although he hasn't won yet, guys, he seems to be a little more back on track than he has been the last 3 years.
Yeah, no argument, and it was, Tommy, interesting to hear Chris Welsh's take on Dontrelle Willis, confirming what we've been talking about in that Brian Price in the offseason played a big role. That ball was just scorched. Frazier fortunate to get it. Jose Lopez with a 2-run homer in the 4th and allowed out to open up the 7th.
Everything he's been hitting, he's hit hard over the last 5 games. Going into that at bat, 7 for 16, over 400 average with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs, and he absolutely stung that ball.
Here's Cameron now. Cameron 0 for 2. He has not had good at bats against Bailey, so he tries to bunt, fouls it back.
See a hitter do that every now and then, and a veteran like Mike Cameron just hasn't felt comfortable with his swings against Bailey, so okay, maybe I'll try to drop down a bunt.
Redondo and Bray in the Reds bullpen. By the way, the first scheduled night game in World Series history was 1971. Danny Murtaugh's Pittsburgh Pirates and Earl Weaver's Baltimore Orioles. That was in Pittsburgh. Steve Blass threw a complete game 4-hitter in winning Game 7 to win that World Series. Cameron swings and misses. That forever cemented the legend of Roberto Clemente. It was a one-man gang in that World Series. First Latino player ever to earn World Series MVP honors. He had a hit in all 7 games. Now Buck. Gabby Sanchez on deck. Gabby not getting the start in Game 1, scheduled to appear in Game 2. You might see Jose Lopez, say at third base or something, in Game 2, the way he has swung the bat. You know, Jack McKeon.
That's the one thing Jack has shown us he's not afraid to do. I mean, he doesn't stick to a rigid plan. If a guy looks like he's hot, swinging the bat well, he'll get him in the lineup.
0-2 pitch foul back. So much so, Tommy, that if the Marlins win this ball game, I think Jack McKeon comes right out and gets thrown out of Game 2 as well.
By the way, just in case you're wondering, Greg Dobbs, because you were talking about Lopez, Dobbs is 4 for 6 with a home run against Bronson Arroyo.
Well, there you go. Buck lays off a breaking ball. It's 1-2. Vasquez spot due up next. Javi's at 112 pitches. This is pitch number 102 for Homer Bailey. And Buck hits it in the air to right center. Stubbs and Bruce. It is Stubbs who makes the catch. Homer Bailey has settled in. He's retired 8 straight. Freezing in Game 1 of this double dip. Home run. Watch the trajectory on this thing. A line drive, and you rarely see a line drive get out in the triangle.
This was a Mike Stanton type home run. That ball was crushed by Lopez.
Frostburg Coors Light freeze can. Hey, it's 3-3. It's the 8th inning. And so this pitching duel now broken up as Mike Dunn takes over for Javi Vasquez.
Javi Vasquez, Rich, with his 11 strikeouts, That's a season high. It's also the 43rd time in his career that he's had 10 or more strikeouts in a game. He had tremendous stuff. He's going to come away with a no decision. Right now it's up to the bullpen to keep things in check.
6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks. And so Dunn now comes in to face Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, and Ramon Hernandez. For Mike Dunn, in his first year with the Marlins, he's had some ups and some downs. He's kind of missing Randy Choate right now because Choate, this is probably an inning that Choate would start if he were not on the disabled list. That's a strike. It's 1-1.
Yeah, because you have the back-to-back lefties, guys that Dusty Baker's not going to pinch hit for. So you know you're going to get that matchup.
Votto fouls it back. One and 2. Do they have a crack staff over on Reds television?
No, I didn't hear them talking about it.
A liner into left center. Cameron tracking it from the sun into the shade. He runs it down. Nice to get Votto out for Mike Dunn. Now he sets his sights on Jay Bruce. Let's see what's trending, our Toyota trend. The Reds, 29-35 on the road this season, but they've outscored their opponents by 277 to 275.
That's kind of, Rich, why I had a little trouble with their trivia question. Didn't have any help over there from a crack staff.
You needed Davey Johnson. That would have got you rolling. You know, you would get one of those, and all of a sudden the names come to you. Bruce has struck out 3 times in this game. That's on the outside corner, and Dunn's out in front 0-2. This is one of those, you know, it's one thing to have a bad game. It's another thing to have a bad doubleheader. You know, some guys take an 0 for 4 or an 0 for 5. Here's the 0-2. And it's grounded foul. If you play both ends of the doubleheader, all of a sudden you can be looking at an 0 for 9 or an 0 for 10.
Yeah, it's a little different this time of year. It's not going to put as big a dent in things, but early in the year, in April or May, a doubleheader, bad doubleheader will kill you. A good doubleheader really helps you.
0-2. Similar to one of those extra inning games, the 16, 17 inning games. Count 1-2. Breaking ball, fly ball. Morrison makes the catch. And there are 2 outs. Here comes Ramon Hernandez.
Well, the Cardinals are really struggling. Rich, the Dodgers beat them again, 9-4. Beat them badly last night.
Brandon Hyde's going to come out and make a double switch. And Ryan Webb will come in. Mike Dunn gets the 2 lefties. Ramon Hernandez is 0 for 3. Hyde making sure with Greg Gibson. Brian Peterson trots onto the field. Ryan Webb as well.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call?
Mike Dunn got the first 2 lefties out, and the Marlins bring in Brian Peterson. And so Peterson will be in the pitcher's spot, and Ryan Webb will be in Mike Cameron's spot, or the pitcher right now occupies Cameron's spot in the order. So Webb's job is to get Ramon Hernandez. If you're asking why is Brandon Hyde out there, it's because Jack McKeon was tossed by first base umpire Todd Titchener early in the ball game, arguing a check swing.
And Brandon Hyde, certainly with lots of experience, many years.
Oh, hey, Todd Titchener says, I remember when Jack came out and got on me there.
Brandon managed a lot of the Marlins. A lot of these guys that have come and got to the big league level, he had them in A-ball, Double-A. So a lot of experience managing in the minor leagues.
Webb working quickly. He's 0-2 on him. And he strikes him out. Nicely done, Ryan Webb. 3 pitches. Punches out Ramon Hernandez. Bottom of the 8th. Brian Peterson going to lead it off. Would be Jose Redondo, and he takes over for Homer Bailey. 7 innings, 5 hits, and 3 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts for Bailey. Javi Vasquez, he went 7 innings. He gave up 6 hits, just like Bailey, 3 runs, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts for Javi Vasquez.
Both the starters did their job. Redondo will come in, and you saw the line, 35 strikeouts but 25 walks. He can get erratic. He has an excellent fastball. He'll throw a lot of splitters. He likes to use that pitch.
Brian Peterson, who came in the double switch, leads it off. Then you've got Bonifacio and Infante. So you have a nice trio up here. If the Marlins are looking to get something going in the bottom of the 8th. Wow.
There's that live fastball.
Right on the corner, Toyota brings you Fox Tracks. Redondo's delivery, very unorthodox, kind of over the top, Josh Colmenter type guy.
Kind of throws from behind his ear.
Yeah.
And a guy like that, a delivery like that, is hard to pick up. So you can see from that motion, if he drops that splitter up there, he can be tough.
Colmenter, the big starter for the Diamondbacks.
Here's the split.
Poor Greg Gibson got clipped on the hand on that one. Here's a look.
Talk about right over the top with the delivery. Oh, a lot of arm action, too.
He's 1-2 on Peterson. And with the splitter, he dispatches the Marlins center fielder. Arredondo's been good. His last 4 appearances have been scoreless. He was on the disabled list with a strained right forearm. Tommy John surgery last year.
He seems to bounce back nicely from that.
Bonifacio trying to bunt, fouls it off. And it's 0-1. Lots of games going on in baseball. This one was not scheduled. Marlins and Reds didn't just show up out of the blue with the rain coming through, with Irene staying to the east of the Florida coast. Still rain expected tomorrow night. So rather than chance it, Major League Baseball said play the doubleheader.
Yeah, and also, Rich, from what I've read and seen on the news, a lot of heavy winds as well.
A mighty wind.
A mighty wind.
Bonifacio. Whoa! What a play. How about that? Out of the seat, lunging for it, kept his feet.
Great quickness and agility.
Took a great angle, Hut.
Look at that.
Oh,
look at that.
Great angle. Watched it into the glove.
Yeah. And the first thing he has to ascertain is that it's going to be a foul ball. Because how many times you see a ball girl or a ball boy, you know, or a ball dude field a ball that's fair. As we saw Laura, the ball girl in D.C.
Infamous Laura, the ball girl in D.C. Bonifacio hits it to center, hits it pretty well. Stubbs reaches and it's over his head, and Bonifacio's off to the races. He's on his way to third. Relay throw is not in time. He's in there. With 1 out, Bonifacio realizing the importance of getting to third in a tie game in the 8th, and there was no stopping him.
Bonifacio every once in a while can fool an outfielder because I don't think they realize that he's got a little pop there. And this ball jumped over the head of Stubbs. He stings this ball, and Stubbs kind of holds his ground, but I love watching Bonnie run. Watch him look over his shoulder. There he goes, never hesitates, gets the bag, and then the strong head first slide. He was going hard all the way.
Now the infield's in, and it's Infante against Arredondo. Tell you, the Reds got that ball in quickly. Stubbs got it cleanly off the wall, and it was a good, strong relay from Giannis. Infield in. But look how far off first. Oh, they're going to intentionally walk him and bring the lefty in to face Logan Morrison. I was just about to say, I couldn't believe Votto was that far off. Are you a bit surprised that they're walking Infante to get to Lomo?
Yeah, I am, because this guy has strikeout stuff.
Oh, that was just a pitch out. They're not walking him.
Yeah, they were thinking squeeze.
Look at, from that shot from behind home plate that we just had. Look at, that's Votto. Look how far off first base he is.
We have seen Infante hit balls in that area where he is not.
He lines it into left field. That's a base hit, and Bonifacio scores. Nice to have Omar Infante back. He's got 2 hits.
And nice to have his swing back. We talked about that in the first inning when he doubled. You can see that he's just starting to get that timing and everything back. He got a pitch up in the zone, too. Infield in, pitch up in the zone. That's a great combination for a hitter.
So the Reds were essentially pinching out, feeling the Marlins may have been squeezing. And they go ahead and pitch to Infante, and he bangs it into left. So here comes the lefty to face Lomo. Here's a Maroon. He called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Maroon!
here in Miami. The Marlins have a 4-3 lead. Omar Infante's at first. Logan Morrison at the plate. And the lefty Bill Bray buries one in the dirt. The Reds are scrambling. The Marlins bullpen right now is moving. The Reds are scrambling to get a right-hander up because Mike Stanton is on deck.
Yeah, it's amazing that it took this long for somebody to start throwing in the bullpen, a right-hander.
It's LeCure who threw last night. Morrison is homered, and he's hit the cover off the ball his other 2 times, both times at Joey Votto at first base. (1-0). That one's into right field. That's a base hit. Infante around second, and he chugs into third. Finally, Morrison gets one by Votto, and it was because Votto was holding the runner on.
Yeah, and the best thing about that, he hit that not as hard as the other 2, but with him covering, nice hole open on that side. You love that for a left-handed bat. You love to have that first baseman covering. Get the ground ball right through there. He didn't hit that as hard as those 2 shots he hit to him earlier.
Here's the other thing that's going on, Tommy. We showed you
trying to kill time right now.
We showed you the Reds bullpen. Brian Price is out there trying to buy some time with Mike Stanton coming up. But in the Marlins pen, the question is who's going to close. Jack told us that it would not be Leo Nunez because of the performance last night and his recent performance. Mojica was one of the names he threw out.
Well, and here are your choices. You had Ryan Webb come in and throw 3 pitches to get a strikeout. Webb would be a choice. Mojica would be a choice. Steve Cishek would be a choice.
Well, this is really interesting that the Reds, you see Nunez, Bray is still out there. As we saw, the Reds didn't have LeCure up, and I don't know if he's ready to come in the ball game. So Bray is going to face Stanton with runners at the corners. And it's 1-0. Now, you do have another lefty on deck in Dobbs, but you would think that the Reds would be more worried about Stanton than Dobbs.
Than Dobbs, yes.
Stanton pops it up. Frazier. Morrison tags it first. Frazier makes the catch, and both runners have to hold.
Well, looks like Dusty Baker knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
That was an opportunity to add on another, just get an insurance run, and Mike got under it.
It pays off for the Reds and Dusty Baker. Follow the Marlins with the MLB.com at-bat app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry. Get live audio, pitch-by-pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text at-bat to 31826, 31826, or visit marlins.com for details.
Now what'll really backfire for Dusty Baker is if Greg Dobbs can pick up a base hit and drive in that other run from third base.
Dobbs is 0 for 3. All those ABs were against Homer Bailey. Lopez is on deck. And I'm sure if Bray loses Dobbs that LeCure would come in for Lopez. Two and 0. Looks like the Rockies have walked off against Houston. Does Colorado have another great late season charge in them?
The Rockies in that walk-off mode again.
2-0. Dobbs hammers it down the line into the corner. Infante scores. Here comes Lomo. They will wave him. He will score. Dobbs delivers, and it does backfire. Big hit for Greg Dobbs.
Well, the left-hander was in there, and the only out he's recorded was against the right-hander, Mike Stanton. Lomo got a base hit off Bray. Dobbs got a huge base hit. Double, driving in 2, and driving Bray out of the game because here comes Dusty.
So Dusty Baker coming out and asking for the baseball with Lopez up. We'll see LeCure. And here's a Marooney called to the pen.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Marooney!
Marlins getting some big hits here in the 8th. The triple by Bonifacio, singles by Infante and Lomo, and Dobbs driving home 2. Now Lopez, who's hit it hard all day long, against LeCure. Votto to the wall, and it's out of reach. Look at that. Nice work. She was texting and going after the souvenir at the same time. And she kept her phone.
I don't know if I would advise that.
And got the ball. It's like she's just off the tennis court. She is.
She's got to finish that text.
Oh, 0-2 to Jose Lopez. LeCure misses away with a fastball. The Marlins learned last night that no lead is big enough. And right now a 6-3 lead. One, two. One and two to Jose Lopez. Marlins have chased across 3 runs. LeCure. Breaking ball, man. Oh, he didn't make that play, Tommy.
I'm telling you, we're giving him the gold glove if he had made that play. He's feeling it, though. He's feeling it.
Still great range. Watch the range, the extension. Oh! You like to see him sell out like that. Another 1-2. Another ground ball. This one finds Frazier, who throws out Lopez. Marlins are done. Edward Mujica will try to shut the door. 6-3. some changes. Gabby Sanchez in the ball game, and he's at first base. Alfredo Amezaga is in the game. He's in left field. And here's the big change. It's not Leo Nunez in the ninth. It's Edward Mujica going after his third career save. Jack McKeon told us before the ball game that Nunez would not close either of these games in the wake of last night's meltdown, with the Reds getting 4 runs in the ninth. So Nunez apparently with the day off. And here is Mujica.
And the last time for Edward Mujica in closing out a game, picking up a save, was in 09 with the San Diego Padres.
It is a different animal, though Mujica has pitched very well for the Marlins this year. Drew Stubbs, Todd Frazier, Paul Janisch. And it's 1-1. Javi Vasquez dazzled in 7 innings, striking out 11, 112 pitches. He had Mike Dunn for 2 outs in the 8th, and Ryan Webb finishing the 8th. And of course the Marlins putting 3 runs on the board, so Webb is in line for the win if Mujica can save it.
Yeah, Webb finished off Ramon Hernandez on 3 pitches.
Usually it's Mujica who comes in late and picks up a win. That ball to left hit well off the wall. Amezaga picks it off the wall. Round first is Stubbs. He is in there at second base. He hesitated around first. And Amezaga's throw, a strong one. It's going to be a double.
I think Stubbs thinking as he rounded first, well, it's a score, down by 3. Now he sees where the ball is. He has tremendous speed. That was a lot closer than I'm sure Dusty Baker wanted it. Infante never did get the grab, but a pretty good throw by Alfredo.
So this hasn't started well for Mujica. JM Lexus presents leaders of the game. Runs scored. The Reds on top. Cardinals right behind them. But JM Lexus, price made us #1. Click jmlexus.com and find out how. So now it's Frazier, and Frazier goes left field and deep and gone. My goodness. The Reds, who came storming back last night and scored 4 runs in the 9th, get a home run from Todd Frazier, his 5th of the season. How big is that Greg Dobbs double now? It's 6-5. There's nobody out.
Well, as you said, Rich, it is a different animal when you're the last pitcher standing out there to close out a game. That time Frazier took care of a Mujica fastball and crushed it. His 5th home run of the year, and just like that, it's a 1-run game.
Steve Cishek is getting loose as fast as he can. Randy St. Clair out to talk to Mujica. Looks like Fred Lewis in the on-deck circle for the Reds. And so Lewis is going to come up. And he will be hitting for Paul Janisch. You got Yonder Alonso on deck. So the Reds have some bats on the bench. And, of course, Alonso was the big hero last night.
And remember, you just have the one left-hander now in the bullpen with Mike Dunn.
A sinker. Lewis can run, and Infante makes the play. So Mujica gets it out. You stick with Mujica here against Alonso?
Yeah, I like Mujica against Alonso because he has that splitter. He has a good pitch that equalizes a lefty.
Marlins Live following this game. That'll be your buffer between games of this doubleheader. We'll start our new ballpark show. I'll give you a sneak peek at what we're going to show you in Game 2. Game 1 of this series was Yonder Alonso's playground. And we were just there to watch. Last night, 3 hits, a home run on the first pitch he saw, 2-run double in the 9th. Turned out to be the difference.
And we're talking about it. His 2 home runs this year have each come on the first pitch.
Mujica misses low. It's 2-0.
They may try, from learning a little bit while I was over on the other side, Rich, they may try Alonso at third base next year.
Chris intimated that.
Yeah.
Mujica has been cautious with him, so much so that he's fallen behind 3-0, and Mujica doesn't want many people. There's a fastball for a strike.
As you certainly in this inning don't want to have to deal with Joey Votto.
No. But Mujica walks Alonso. Yonder Alonso is at first base.
And now they're going to send out a pinch runner for Alonso, veteran Miguel Cairo. Randy St. Clair checking down the bullpen. How's Cishek? Is he ready?
So the Marlins in desperate need of someone who can just close a game. Nunez couldn't do it last night. Marlins had their issues on the road trip as well. Today, Jack and Brandon Hyde going with Edward Mujica, and now Mujica is coming out and Cishek is coming in. So Brandon Phillips is going to face Steve Cishek with a game on the line.
When you need a car, truck or van, who you gonna call? Maruti!
Randy St. Clair on the left, trying to get through the top of the 9th. The Marlins were unable to do it last night, and they're having major difficulties doing it here. The Reds getting a 2-run homer from Todd Frazier, and now here's Brandon Phillips with Miguel Cairo at first and 1 out.
Well, Steve Cishek did pick up his first major league save back on June 10th, and it was against Arizona. So he would love to make it number 2 here this afternoon.
Phillips an RBI double in 3 trips, and he drives one to center. Peterson eyes it and makes the catch. Now, this is the guy that Cishek really wants to get, Dave Chappelle, because Joey Votto is on deck. Chappelle, remember, had the big 2-run double in the 9th inning last night on a changeup from Leo Nunez. Cishek misses low and away. It's 1-0. Jose Seda is throwing in the Marlins pen. I've heard him closer by committee, but this is getting a little bit ridiculous.
And I have a feeling that's what we're going to kind of see for a while.
That's what it takes.
We've talked about how Jack will use that hot hand as a hitter. He'll do the same thing in the bullpen.
Comes the 1-1. Oh, he grooves it right in there for a strike, and it's 1-2.
And I think if Steve Cishek nails this one down, he'll be that hot hand that we'll see. Boy, that's a good pitch. He gets such great movement with his delivery, with his pitches.
Well, let's see if Cishek can nail it down. Ooh! Just missed.
Boy, it's a good fastball, too. If it missed, it wasn't by much.
It didn't miss.
And it didn't.
Toyota Fox Track says that was a strike. Now a 2-2. Sapelt lines it foul.
See how late he was on that fastball? This is going back to last night. Well, you don't want to throw a guy like this something off speed that he can turn on and drive a little bit.
Two coming. Ground ball, he's got it. Cishek flips it, and the Marlins win it. Everybody exhale. Look, you can see the relief in the Marlins dugout. The Marlins start the inning with Edward Mujica. They end it with Steve Cishek. Second career save for Cishek. And the Fish hang on, and I mean hang on, to a 6-5 win.